Je jure devant le peuple burkinabé et sur mon honneur de préserver.
Forget what you've seen on the headlines. This is not the Burkina Faso you think you know. Beyond the stereotypes and silence lies a land bursting with resilience, pride, and untapped beauty. From thriving markets full of color and rhythm to bold youth leading tech and farming revolutions, Burkina Faso is rewriting its own story, and doing it with heart. In this documentary, we dive into the side the mainstream media ignores: innovation, unity, and a cultural legacy that refuses to fade. Welcome to a side of Burkina Faso the media won't show you. The pulse of progress, infrastructure rising from the dust. What you won't see on mainstream news is the thunder of bulldozers carving highways through what were once donkey trails in Burkina Faso. In just a few years, the country has pulled off what critics said was impossible, connecting remote villages to thriving urban centers. Four-lane expressways now stretch across once-forgotten plains. Modern bridges span rivers that used to isolate entire regions during the rainy season. This isn't a government photo op, it's a full-scale national rebuild. The capital, Ouagadougou, is buzzing with cranes, concrete, and ambition. Schools that were hours away by foot are now minutes away by bus. Farmers no longer have to rely on worn-out carts to transport their harvests. They use paved roads, motorcycles, even electric tuk-tuks. And it's not just for show. Rural access has improved healthcare delivery, reduced travel time to markets by 60%, and boosted local trade. Foreign contractors aren't running the show either. Burkinabe engineers and workers are in the driver's seat, fueling pride and ownership. There's a feeling in the air: we're building this. Local hands are pouring the concrete. Local minds are drawing the blueprints. From villages to urban hubs, connectivity is no longer a dream. It's the new normal. The media shows dust, but they miss the direction. The old narrative: war, coups, and chaos. The new one: roads, rising skylines, and a nation paving its own destiny, literally. Burkina Faso's infrastructure boom isn't just changing landscapes, it's changing lives. This is the backbone of a new era. From soil to shelf, the quiet agricultural revolution. If you think Burkina Faso is just struggling to survive, think again. It's actually thriving from the ground up, literally. Once overlooked on the global food map, this landlocked nation is now leading a silent agricultural revolution that's turning farmers into exporters. Under the agro-sovereignty model, Burkina Faso ditched the dependency game and put farmers at the center of the economy. Traditional crops like millet and sorghum are now grown using modern irrigation, solar-powered machinery, and AI-driven pest detection. But the real game changer? Pineapples. Yes, pineapples. Once eaten locally or wasted due to lack of storage, they now fly first class to Dubai, Paris, and even Whole Foods in California. We're not talking about aid-funded programs or foreign dependency. We're talking Burkinabe-owned co-ops, farm-to-market tech platforms, and youth-led startups that use blockchain to track produce and ensure fair trade. Women are at the forefront too, leading cassava cooperatives and honey production groups that are lifting entire villages out of poverty.
La consommation du riz local par les Burkinabés est en évolution. Lorsque on le compare aux années antérieures, on sent que de plus en plus, les Burkinabés consomment le riz local.
La recherche a beaucoup travaillé en matière de mise à disposition des variétés performantes. On a une bonne dizaine de variétés de l'INERA qui sont cultivées et consommées par les Burkinabés.
Pendant longtemps, le riz produit et transformé au Burkina Faso était relégué au second plan dans le choix alimentaire de beaucoup de consommateurs.
Meanwhile, abandoned arid zones are being reclaimed with drought-resistant crops, a testament to local innovation. Add to that new export terminals and refrigerated transport hubs, and what you get is a supply chain that works. It's Africa's heartland reinventing itself. You won't hear it on the nightly news, but Burkina Faso's farms are no longer stuck in the past. They're feeding the future, one ripe mango and tech-powered tractor at a time. Youth power, the rise of a creative and tech-savvy generation. This is not the Burkina Faso your textbooks taught you about. Beyond the dust and struggle lies a dynamic young population rewriting the rules of engagement with tech, art, and hustle. Over 70% of the population is under 30, and they're not waiting for foreign saviors. They're coding their own apps, running online fashion empires, and turning recycled plastic into eco-friendly bricks. In Ouaga and Bobo Dioulasso, co-working spaces are replacing old colonial warehouses. These are launchpads for local innovation. Think solar drone delivery, telemedicine startups, and fintech apps built for farmers without bank accounts. And the arts? Exploding. The country's cinema scene, once quiet, is booming again, with local productions now premiering at international film festivals. Rappers and slam poets use their verses to spark dialogue and social change. Young designers fuse tradition with trend, creating clothing lines that now walk runways in Dakar and beyond. Education isn't static either.
On to Burkina Faso now. There's an interesting story of success from the auto sector there. Specifically, the release of a new electric vehicle produced by a local manufacturer is being hailed as an interesting move for a country that's been more synonymous with subsistence agriculture, conflict and political unrest, especially of late. Now, while much of the country will not be able to afford these units outright, experts say it could lead to an economic upturn amid rising demand for electric vehicles in other African markets. Here's Ian Kinua with the details.
New tech academies offer coding boot camps, startup mentorships, and design incubators. The government is investing in youth entrepreneurship like never before, offering seed grants, co-funding platforms, and tax breaks for local innovators. The energy is raw, it's real, and it's distinctly Burkinabe. These young minds aren't fleeing, they're staying, building, and thriving. They're not just the hope of tomorrow, they're the architects of today. Forget the trope of helpless youth. This generation is the storm, bold, brilliant, and bursting with potential. And they're just getting started. Culture, community, and the beauty of everyday life. What the cameras rarely capture is the heartbeat of Burkina Faso, the warmth of its people, the vibrancy of its culture, and the sheer richness of everyday life. Step into a local market in Ouagadougou, and you'll be greeted with bright fabrics, handcrafted jewelry, and the irresistible aroma of street food. Riz gras, grilled meat, and spicy sauces passed down through generations. It's not just aesthetic, it's ancestral. The country's music scene fuses traditional balafon rhythms with Afrobeat and jazz, turning ordinary nights into impromptu street concerts. Dance is everywhere, from weddings to political rallies, used not just for joy, but for expression, unity, and healing. The Mossi, Fulani, and Gourmanche communities live side by side, each bringing their own language, dress, and rituals to the national fabric. And then there's the respect for elders, the value of family, the joy found in small gatherings under neem trees, sipping dolo and sharing stories. It's a slower rhythm, yes, but purposeful, grounded, and deeply humane. Even in hardship, community carries people. You'll find strangers helping push broken carts, neighbors sharing meals, and entire villages turning up for each other's milestones. There's no viral hashtag for that, but maybe there should be. Burkina Faso reminds us that joy doesn't require wealth, culture doesn't need a spotlight to thrive, and dignity lives in how people treat each other when no one's watching. These stories don't trend, but they're the ones that matter, and they form the soul of a country the world should finally take the time to understand. A nation claiming its own story. Burkina Faso isn't begging for pity, it's demanding respect. For decades, it's been boxed into a single story: poor, unstable, forgotten. But the truth? That story was written by outsiders. Today, Burkinabe journalists, artists, historians, and leaders are grabbing the pen back. Local media houses now highlight stories of progress, not just protest. Documentaries made by Burkinabe hands show the reality of school kids learning coding in rural labs powered by solar. Influencers aren't mimicking the West. They're defining a unique Burkinabe aesthetic that merges heritage with future-forward design. Even in politics, there's a shift. Young activists are pushing for clean governance, local accountability, and homegrown policy reform. The military isn't just parading, it's building schools, clinics, and logistics hubs to reconnect a fragmented nation. International headlines may focus on conflict, but here on the ground, citizens are focusing on community building and self-reliance. New national museums and cultural centers are preserving history from a local lens, ensuring that future generations know their worth, not through colonial eyes, but through their own. This isn't just rebranding, it's reclamation. Burkina Faso isn't asking to be saved, it's asking to be seen, fully, fairly, and in its own voice. And that voice, it's rising, strong, clear, proud. What the media won't show you is this: a country that's not defined by its pain, but by its persistence. A land that's not waiting to be discovered, but ready to be understood. This is the side of Burkina Faso the world needs to see. And now, thanks to you watching, maybe it finally will. Now that you've seen this side of Burkina Faso, vibrant, hopeful, and rising, it's clear the story is far bigger than conflict and crisis. This is a nation rooted in strength and blossoming with opportunity, creativity, and courage. From the hands of farmers to the voices of artists and the dreams of youth, Burkina Faso is building its own future. So, the next time you hear the name, remember this version too, the one full of power, pride, and possibility. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and show the real Burkina Faso to the world.